this episode, I'm with Roddy Chong, the GOAT of creating standing ovations.
I'm not going to be an informative speaker. I'm going to be the most inspiring speaker that they have ever been in front of. I'm focusing on my work. So I'm like, what's going on right now, and then what's going on next?
Okay.
That's what I'm focusing on, doing the work. And that's another little secret. Like if you're up there and you lose your place, don't chase it. Don't go out there too much. Some people think that's great in their heads, like this is going to be improv time. That's not great. Go back onto the track that you had planned as quickly as possible. Don't do 20 things. Do one thing. Play one note and play it 11 out of 10, that loud. And I play to go and blast through the back wall.
Everyone wants to be great, but only few actually get there. And I'm on a mission to find out what all the greatest have in common. I've traveled tirelessly to find, sit down, and talk with GOATs, people that are arguably the greatest of all time at what they do. Sales, marketing, advertising, business, podcasts, branding, you name it. The way they do things may be different, but they all seem to see the world the same way. To them, success is not only achievable, but inevitable. And we'll get inside their heads as they share their expertise with me each week. My name's Mike Arce, and this is The GOAT Show. This episode is sponsored by Agency G.O.A.T. Starting a digital agency was definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made. Building it, however, was a lot more challenging than expected. I always wish someone just gave me a roadmap that I could follow and let me be a fly on the wall at a successful agency so I could just see how it's all done. Agency G.O.A.T allows you to do just that. Stop playing small and visit agencygsd.com to learn how to help hundreds of clients get it to 7 figures and be extremely profitable along the way. Again, go to agencygsd.com. And I also have to share my experience with ClickFunnels. If you've been living under a rock and haven't heard of them, they're hands down the #1 platform for building landing pages and marketing funnels. I've been using them since 2015, and it's so crazy how easily my team and I create landing pages using their proven templates and easy drag and drop system. Without any design or coding experience whatsoever, we've been able to create hundreds of landing pages within minutes that look great and close sales better than anything we've used in the past. They're great for webinar funnels, sales funnels, demos, squeeze pages, you name it. I can't even imagine my business doing as well without them. And actually right now, they're offering a free 14-day trial if you go to clickfunnelspromo.com. So I definitely recommend you guys take advantage of that 14-day trial. It's free for 14 days and you can get it at clickfunnelspromo.com. Hello everybody, I'm Mike Arce and welcome back to another episode of The GOAT Show, where we interview people that are arguably the greatest of all time at what they do. And today, I am here with Mr. Roddy Chong, the GOAT of getting standing ovations. Roddy, welcome to the show.
All right, Mike, thanks for having me.
Grant Cardone puts on some of the most incredible events that I've ever seen. I mean, the guy just had Flow Rider on his stage.
Yeah.
Getting everybody on their feet. Flow Rider was like on someone's back bouncing around. And he said, you are basically the GOAT of standing ovations. How's that feel?
It feels good because I want to be what I was seeing, and sometimes I wouldn't see something that I would necessarily want to stand up for. But if I did see something that was so inspiring, I want to stand up and I want to just give that standing ovation to somebody else. So if someone else is saying that about me, I mean, I'm doing my job. And
not just someone else, someone that knows standing ovations. If it was someone's mom, just stays at home, that's not the same as this guy, right? This guy puts on events. So let's get started. The violin.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like your tool. That is your
Exactly.
your main tool on the stage. Okay.
So that's very much like an Asian thing.
Okay.
So Asians, I come from a Chinese American background. Asians have their kid play pretty much piano or violin.
Okay.
Maybe cello. And the reason why is not so much that they will become musicians, but it's for that character quality of discipline.
Which is a big thing you talk about. That's a big key in all your talks, right?
Yeah, and I wasn't naturally disciplined. My mom and kind of my dad, but mostly my mom, instilled that character quality into me by disciplining me, by making me practice, by making me do all these other things. And before I could play video games, I had to practice. So
okay.
I thought that this was a big ripoff. I didn't want to grow up in a family like that. I just wanted to have fun and eat sugar and play video games. But I am glad now, of course, and my parents are still alive, so they get to see the fruits of what they basically instilled into me.
Have they seen you perform?
Oh yeah, many times. Yep.
Really?
As a speaker, as a violinist.
What do they think of it?
I think they're proud. I think that they did not know that this was going to happen, like playing violin in a rock and roll or a pop kind of a way, or speaking in front of rambunctious entrepreneur crowds. But I'm definitely a product of my parents.
Where do you think they saw you taking that skill set of being able to play the violin? I mean, obviously, like you said, not here in this crazy crowd. Where did they see you?
Well, I did stop at age 17. I was like a junior in high school, and that's very typical. Most kids quit their instrument at 11 years old. I wanted to quit every year, and then my parents finally let me quit when I was 17. So they just thought, hey, we're just going to try to instill character qualities into this kid and discipline, especially through music. Also, they thought if we could get the right brain going, the creative side, that hopefully the left brain, the math side, and the strategy side would grow a little bit. I mean, I don't know. That's just what they told me. And my mom also said this to me, that she never forced me to do anything, but she did push me.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. I mean, I didn't like it before, but I was pushed, and now I'm able to push myself. And sometimes I push others a little bit, and maybe they don't like that, but it's my mom's fault. Yeah.
So the people that tune into this show, they're not here to learn how to be good or great even. Mm-hmm. They're looking to learn how to be the greatest, right? That's really the whole theme of the show. And so being the greatest at getting standing ovations, I gotta tell you, there's a lot of speakers that listen to this. And people that they wouldn't call themselves speakers, but they get asked to speak quite a bit because of the skill set they've developed. And I don't think there's a person on the planet that gets on that stage that wouldn't feel 10 times better about their talk if they got even just one standing ovation, never mind the ones that you get. So what I'd love to get out of this is, when this really started happening, what your mentality is going into performing, how you prepare for it all, and really how the standing ovation is generated. Like what is it makes it happen? Is that okay with you?
That's awesome. I mean, I've never talked about some of this stuff. Some of the stuff's going to be like insider trade secrets that I tell you. So no other podcast is going to have this. So like you said, keep listening, everybody.
And I won't mind if you never share it again. Just keep it here. Yeah. We'll just share this video.
That's right.
Okay, cool. So now when we wanted to do our interview, initially you were like, man, I got to prepare. I want to make sure, and I get that now, right? I mean, the guy that is the GOAT of standing ovations, like I can't get in the way of that guy. So what does preparation look like for you going into a talk like this?
Well, a lot of that did come from my violin background. So I used to get up and play at church or at the old folks' home, and it was always super stressful. And I didn't like doing it. Like, basically there was a lot of stress and tension around performing. And I would get up there and do my best, and it would be a miserable situation. So I wanted to learn how to become better. And of course, I had my inspirations, Michael Jordan, or a lot of that was in the athletic world that I would look at and be like, I want to be like that. And that's not so much that I wanted to play basketball, but I wanted to be able to do something or have a vibe or be kind of like a killer. Okay?
A greatest of all time.
Right. So right there is, I have the humility that's kicking in, like, don't say that about me, but at the same time, you need to have the other side of humility, not arrogance, but just that killer instinct that you want to do so well. And I think the word just comes in a lot with speaking. I'm just going to do a good job. I'm just going to get out there and present what I've prepared. Some of the language that I use might sound a little bit as I'm giving it out publicly, but on my own, I'm kind of like, I want to kill the other speakers. Like, I want
You don't even want it to be close.
And the reason why is not so much that I don't like them. I love them, right? And I've been inspired by the other speakers, but that helps me stay on my game and do what I do best. Otherwise, I'm gonna get other people in my head. Like last year at 10X Growth Con, I was next to Les Brown. I'd heard
one of the best speakers of all time.
I've heard Les Brown's his voice in my head
right.
For years, growing up. And so, but I had that same mentality once I was going to not just compete, but kill. Now this killing whole thing really came to me from the comedians, because they have that phrase, kill or die. So you either kill the audience with laughter and you do great and you get that standing ovation and people are doubled over with laughter, or they die booing, hissing, and having vegetables thrown at them, right? So it's one or the other. It's very binary. It's 0 or 1. It's either on or off.
Okay.
And you, Mike, I want to be on. And we're gonna do everything, and you said about preparation, we are preparing so that we can be on. And probably just one thing that I want to do more research on, but I know that just by doing it and talking to other people that it works, is the most important time of this whole preparation is the night before. So tomorrow I'm speaking at 3:45, and tonight is very important for me. Right. That I actually will do what I call a brain dump. So you cram and you do your speech. I'll be doing it in a room, out loud, and going through that, because when I go to sleep, something's going on where your brain is working on that while you sleep. The temptation is, I go on at 3:45, so I could wake up early and even have the excuse of my brain might be a little more awake in the morning, and then I'm gonna prepare starting at 9 a.m. I've got a good 4 hours I could prepare. But the reason why that's a mistake is that you need to have that incubation the night before. So sure, you could do some preparing that day also, but all the preparation before, especially the night before, is the really important preparation so that you can be a killer. So I think the thing with the Ovation is that also when I go out there, I every time go, I'm not sure if this is gonna work this time.
Really?
Yeah, so because you don't want to have hubris, which is like that extreme arrogance. Mm-hmm. That's the dangerous arrogance that someone's going to get sloppy and something's going to go not well. Mm-hmm. Competence and confidence, yes, you want to have those things, but I have by not being sure what's going to happen out there, but yet being locked and loaded with all of the preparation, it's actually a good combination, because right. When people see me on stage, they're not seeing someone that's just floating through his speech or my violin. I'm fighting. You're seeing a guy fighting for his life. And when I see somebody performing and they're fighting for their life on stage, not in a bad way, but in a great way, that they're fighting every moment to do their very best on stage, there's just something inside of me as a human. I get that vibe, and I'm with them. And when I'm performing, I want those audience members to be with me. So really quick, that gives me another thought, that there are people in these audiences that are going through tough times. Some of them, perhaps, are on the brink of wanting to end it all. I'm really going after those people. I want to take people that are thinking about ending it all, and I want to pull them up out of hell and help them get on solid footing. So it's not about me doing this great job and getting applause. I want to help people so bad. I know in every audience, especially an audience like tomorrow of this size, there's people like that, because I was that person. I was that person that lost my dream job, and when I lost that dream job, I thought my destiny, God's will in my life, everything was over. And I would be crying at night and just thought that my life, that this was my lot in life, that I was just gonna be having a horrible life for the rest of my life. And there were certain voices or books on audio, or there weren't really podcasts when I was going through this depressive time, but there were things that pulled me out. And I get that opportunity, and that is not to be taken lightly. That's an opportunity to actually help people that are doing super well, I actually get them also on the same page, because if you're doing super well, you have had to go through many battles, many punches to the face, punches in the gut, times when you were questioning yourself, and perhaps times when you wanted to possibly end it all. It's
you could still resonate, not because they're there, but because they've been there.
Yeah.
And so you just got them in different pins of their timeline.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
That's why story is super important. You know that, but I like hearing a great story. There's proof in the pudding with audiences, okay? Laughter, if people are laughing, that's a great response. If people are getting goosebumps, that's hard to measure, but they'll tell you, I got goosebumps. A standing ovation, that's just proof that this audience is basically saying, we're with you, man, you know? You're not gonna get there unless you are really like shooting for an 11 out of 10. Willing to look like a fool out there. You're going so hard and so out there. Again, you're not out there and you're too loose and you're unorganized. You're locked and loaded, fully prepared, but then you deliver it and you're way out there. And a lot of people don't know how to get there. So before we started talking, I did 30 seconds of clapping and getting my voice going and even physically moving my lips. And that's part of the warm-up so that we have a chance of having freedom here. And the opposite of freedom is being stifled. A lot of people that are performing in whatever they do, a sales pitch, performing with an instrument, or speaking, or giving a presentation, they get a little stifled. And when they're stifled, then it becomes a situation where things pile onto that. So then there's audience members, there's maybe babies crying, there's all kinds of distractions.
Right.
And have you ever seen someone implode on stage?
I've seen it implode in podcasts, interviews.
Yeah.
I've seen it on stage, I've seen it in interviews. You know, and I 100% agree. You know, even before you got here, I was pacing, going through, rehearsing my stuff because, you know, you got to get loose, you got to get in a rhythm. So by the time you get here, you're in the rhythm, which is what you're talking about, right? Like moving the lips, all that stuff. You don't get in rhythm after the cameras and the lights and everyone's watching you. You get in the rhythm way before that. Everyone just jumps in the middle of it.
You'll hear people say, other speakers say, you know, I'm just going to go out there, that just word, right? I'm just going to go out there and the audience is going to get to know me and I'm going to get to know them, and then we're going to kind of do a crescendo, like this is going to grow, and then we're going to get there to where it's awesome. But you have to be at that awesome point in the beginning.
Especially if you're not the first speaker, because they're already past that point. Yeah, especially like if you follow a Les Brown, you follow a Les Brown. Les Brown already got him here. You can't go in there and go, I'm going to start here, because now you're bringing them down.
Excellent point. And doing that, well, I'm going to start here is a very brainy, clever idea. And ideas are good, but brainy, clever ideas usually are not. Like, how many ideas did you have, and then you unleashed it on an audience, and you're like, well, why didn't they laugh?
Or thought about it a month later, and you're like, what was I thinking?
Yeah. So I mean, all ideas need to be field tested, or they need to be actually unleashed on an audience from the stage. Right. And you'll get an idea if people are laughing. That's a good thing. If there's like crickets, you know, you probably in your head thought it was going to be awesome, but for a live audience, it's not going to be awesome. And so you have to do what your craft is, again, in whatever people are doing to get a standing ovation type of response. They have to do these things over and over again, possibly making a fool out of yourself as you figure out what are the gold nuggets and you keep. And some of these things you gotta delete, you gotta let them go. Because, you know, even if you loved it, you thought it was the most inspirational thing in your head while you were sitting at your computer, if it's not working with a live audience, it's got to go. You got to switch it. Comedians do the same thing. You talked about them, right? Like, okay, that joke's done. I'm never using that one again. Yeah. And the ones that kill, they use over and over and over and over, and I actually don't mind. Yeah. If I'm in the audience and I hear a Chris Rock or a Jerry Seinfeld say that same joke again, I love it. It's great. It resonates. Yeah. I got a question for you, because this is on my mind from the moment you brought it up. You said tonight you're going to prepare in your room. Correct. So we're in Vegas. What do you think the odds are that you're playing so loud and you're
speaking so loud that the guy next to you that just lost his entire life savings down the stairs about 10 minutes before comes and goes, dude, I was about to like jump off this roof here until I heard you talk. I'm ready to go to this conference with you tomorrow. Like you never know. You're in like this crazy town right now. Are you just waking people up? Are you keeping people up now?
I do worry about that when I prepare.
Like, has anybody knocked on your hotel door and said like, dude, either knock it off or you changed my life?
No one's ever done that. I mean, I have had that you've helped or you've changed my life, and I've told that to other people from a lot of my speaking events, but not from like practicing from my room. I am concerned when I'm practicing my room that maybe I am bothering the neighbor. I have sometimes just with the violin playing, people go, I mean, we heard it and we loved it, right? And that's something, that's why I use the violin with my speaking, is because the violin is something that is commercially welcomed.
It's not like drums.
Correct.
You're not
or
the drum guy.
Yeah. Nothing against drummers or trombone players. But music in general helps because that's a vibe thing. That's an emotional thing. And I'm not going to be an informative speaker. I'm going to be the most inspiring speaker that they have ever been in front of, right? So who is the most inspiring speaker? In my book, that would be Tony Robbins.
So I want to talk about that because you mentioned Les Brown, you mentioned Michael Jordan. When you watch him speak, you're probably seeing things that maybe the average person doesn't see because everybody else is hearing it as an audience, whereas you're hearing it as a science, like a scientist almost. Like, what's he doing? Have you caught certain things about Tony's delivery that you go, I notice he does that all the time, or I notice he does that around this time, and now you start kind of breaking it down and found a way to use it for yourself?
What I observe from Tony is that I just really like his preparation backstage. If you watch what he's doing, he is, like we had talked about, he is making sure he's at that awesome level before he even gets on that stage.
Doesn't he jump on a trampoline or something?
Yeah, the trampoline, and he does all this scientific stuff, right? So the trampoline, he is vibrating, literally vibing and vibrating to get to that higher level. Wow. You know, I do similar things where I'll be jumping, or I do a lot of vocal warm-ups, almost more like a singer than a speaker. But when I'm backstage, I don't really see anyone else doing this stuff because I think it does look a little animalistic. It looks a little strange, but this stuff works. Again, to become unstifled, that's the goal. When you're unstifled, then you're free.
When you get that standing ovation, and the second standing ovation, and the third, and on like we keep seeing, what are you feeling on the inside?
I don't really notice it. So
you don't notice the standing ovation?
I have to go to my girlfriend, and I have to say to Jessica, I have to say, so what happened out there? And I was like, I don't totally know that. The reason why I don't totally...
Is it like Will Ferrell in Old School where he's like, what happened? I blacked out.
I did the opposite of blacked out. So I'm focusing on my work. I'm like, what's going on right now? And then what's going on next?
Okay.
That's what I'm focusing on, doing the work. And that's another little secret. Like if you're up there and you lose your place, or you start thinking about someone in the audience, or there's something that's distracting you, basically.
Sure. Yep.
Don't chase it. Don't go out there too much. Get back into doing the work, what you're doing and what's coming next. If you focus on doing the work, you'll get back on track. If you get off track, some people think that's great in their heads, like this is going to be improv time. That's not great. Go back onto the track that you had planned as quickly as possible. Right. So when you but distractions do happen. So that's okay. In fact, if that does happen, the people out there kind of go, oh, there's a hiccup, and then they watch, are you able to get back on track and get the whole room back on track, or are you just kind of now spinning out? Anything in me that goes, I'm rocking, like I'm cool guy, that's gonna make you mess up really bad right there. That's putting you in your head, right?
Because you should be focusing on them, like you said, that one guy that really needs you right now.
I would say focus on the work. And by focusing on the work, you impact that one guy that really needs you. So when the standing ovation, if it does happen, because it's not guaranteed, you have to earn it every time. But if it does happen, I don't feed that, but I keep on laying down and doubling down on the work I was doing. Okay. So then we have a chance of going someplace even where we've never imagined, where people are even more elated, where we get to be part of something that's that this event was the greatest event of all time, this
Right.
one event. Because in the now or what's going to happen right here is really what we have and what we
Sure.
got. So you want to give it all you got. You know what? Sometimes things don't work out. That's okay. But if you keep on stepping on the gas, don't hesitate. Don't put on the brakes. People are going to be like, this guy has energy. I'm with that person. Or this gal has energy and I'm with her.
Cool. So you had a book that just came out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
It's called Ovation.
Perfectly fit.
Yeah, and unlocking the hidden secrets to influencing the masses. So some of what we're talking about here is outlined more there is the preparation on how to preload a possible standing ovation. So you do all of this and you're going so hard to reach that Olympic or such a high level. You're not doing just something.
Right.
You're going to do something that's brilliant. You're preparing for that. And these are some of the insider secrets that I learned from coaches. Now, I never had any speaking coaches, but I did have coaches in acting. And so a lot of what I do is from the acting background. And what I do as a speaker did not come from the violin background.
Right.
What I do as a speaker came from the thespians, the dramatic folks. And so I stopped touring. So my early touring was, the big names were Shania Twain and Celine Dion. So I stopped touring with them. And for 2 years, I went to a Meisner training as a type of acting in a school in Santa Monica, and I had a main coach named D.W. Brown, and he would say all these little details, thousands of them, and a lot of these I had never heard of out there, and who has time to take 2 years out to do an intensive acting program? So I take some of what I learned there, the best of, and taking some of those things into our everyday lives in what we're doing as performers, doing things. So,
Well, really quick,
yeah.
You breezed over something that were buzzwords. You said you were performing with Shania Twain and Celine Dion.
Correct.
So your passion to get off and start doing what you're doing right now was so strong that you left that, something that, I mean, how many people would like to say they're doing that, right? So let's just really quick talk about, I mean, you've had to learn something from Celine Dion. I would say she's a GOAT in her own world
Absolutely.
as well. So what did you learn from working with people closely like that of that caliber?
Celine Dion is the Michael Jordan of vocals.
Okay.
So men, women, she is the greatest. So I highly encourage people to see her show. I think a lot of people are kind of like, I'll catch that show someday. I mean, this is not a normal situation. She is something extremely special. We need to get the tickets and go and behold this thing that's not going to be with us forever. So I try to see her every other year to be inspired. I am moved to tears. That's another proof in the pudding. I get the goosebumps. I'm laughing. I'm standing up when I'm not supposed to be and standing ovation. I'm in it. I'm a big fan. I got to work with her. I remember we did one of our first rehearsals together. She was actually very demure and very quiet and kind of singing her song, and I was playing my violin duet with her. When we got out on stage, she was a completely different person. I just thought she was like a wild lion.
Really?
So back then, I didn't have the techniques. Again, I told you off camera that I'm not a natural. I've had to just take techniques and then do the techniques. I didn't have as many techniques back then. I just was kind of hit or missing, sometimes getting lucky. And I mean, it was quite, I was on the same stage, but a little out of my league being with her. And it was otherworldly. These great words come out because she was that great and that special. I probably could have practiced more. I wish I had, so that I could even hang on a little bit more. But in those performances, she was so good that basically I was hanging on.
Right.
And there's no auto-tune, no pre-recorded tracks with Celine. She's killing it.
Wow. And the thing is, once you start hanging out with people like that, you realize how far you can go. You're like, man, I'm not stretching.
Correct.
I thought I was stretching until I saw this person. Now I realize I'm not stretching at all.
She would not speak, she wouldn't use her voice during the day before her performance.
At all?
No.
Zero talking?
I mean, not that I knew of. I thought, from what I understood, that was on purpose.
Wow.
So we're protecting the
instrument.
We're protecting this virtuosic, special, one-of-a-kind instrument so she can unleash that power without any stress or any tiredness with that. So whatever we're doing preparation-wise, we're probably not doing enough. I mean, have you had Tim Grover on the podcast yet?
No, I am. Okay. So the funny thing is, as this is being recorded, I'm about 3/4 of the way through his book, Relentless.
Yes.
And I'm listening to it every morning. And I listen to an audiobook typically while I'm making like my bulletproof coffee and all that stuff. Yeah. And I sit down, I write my goals. And I had to like stop and like listen because his stuff's so great, especially when he talks about, Michael Jordan and go back to how Dwayne Wade, trained and Barkley and all that. The guy's incredible. He is definitely on my dream list to have on the show.
Oh yeah, I'll help you get him on the show. He became a good friend of mine.
Oh, he's awesome.
But he would tell you the preparations that Michael Jordan would go to, and some of them wouldn't even be publicly approved of, but this is just, he is going to do what he's going to do so that you get out of his way so that he will win.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. I'm inspired by that. I don't know if I want to be on the other team when Michael Jordan's coming at me.
Right.
But after the Celine Shania years, that I was able to get a great coach who taught me how to be on stage and how to present myself efficiently, present myself effectively so that the audience would get me. And so one thing that he would have me do is he's like, don't do 20 things, do one thing. And he knew I was a musician, so he would say, play one note and play it 11 out of 10, that loud, and do it so specifically that you're like putting a hole through the head of the audience, like you're just destroying the audience.
They will not forget that note.
So he would say that note is a gist. So what is your gist or the essence or what is your vibe? So when I speak, I usually use this one vibe or this gist, the most inspiring. So I, every moment, want to be the most inspiring speaker. Just having that as my aim, that is getting you on the path to getting a standing ovation, because when people are inspired and uplifted, then they want to stand up and they want to be with you. There are different kinds of talks out there. If you want to be the, maybe not the most inspiring, but the best-selling speech, there are speeches that are best for selling
They're specifically structured from end to end to take them through.
And God bless them for that, because they're doing the same principle. What's the gist? What's that note? And just play that loud from beginning, middle, and end, and all the way through. Because I think people try to do too many things. I'm going to try to be confident. I'm going to try to be a great teacher. I'm going to be also funny, like a comedian. I'm also going to be a little bit dramatic and like kind of be a little bit sad over here. And then I'm going to be like a crazy guy. It's too many things.
They want to hit it all.
It comes off strange.
Yeah.
But if you go out there and you do one thing from the beginning, middle, and end, they're like, we understand who this person is. He's the most inspiring. Russell Brunson comes out. We understand who this person is. He is selling very, very well.
Very well.
And then we're going to see someone else come out, and perhaps they might do teaching. This person is teaching and instructing very well. Those are different kinds of speeches. Don't try to do all of them. Do one of them from the beginning, middle, and end, and however long your speech is, 15 minutes, 2 hours, do it all the way.
That is a really, really good tip, because I see a lot of people do that, and I'm guilty of doing it, where it's like,
too. Yeah.
I know I should do this, I know I should do that, and I think what happens is you can't find the time to put them in, like when do I get this in, but that's probably because it doesn't fit in the first place. You got to stay in the lane that you're driving in. That's a really good tip.
Yeah, and I learned that from D.W. Brown. Like I don't know what folks are doing at Toastmasters. Maybe I shouldn't say what other organizations are doing, but I hear some of the same things and I go, ooh, that's a mistake. Another little basic thing is don't rehearse in front of a mirror. I hear a lot of speakers that rehearse in front of a mirror, that is the strangest thing to do because you are literally criticizing and judging yourself as you're doing the speech.
And you're preparing for what will not be anyway. You're not going to be able to see
looking
yourself.
at yourself. It's
right.
so strange. So what do you do instead? Do it in front of a video camera because there's not a reflection. In fact, you could then watch yourself on video later, and that's okay. But rehearsing in front of a mirror, I've heard people give each other advice like that. Rehearse in front of a mirror, that's going to really jam you up. It's going to definitely put you in your head, and you're not going to be free.
You know what the funny thing is, when I was younger, I was in martial arts, and different martial arts had different techniques. One of the ones that I went through for several years, they had you do forms, right? And so you have to do this 81 move formation, and my instructor had us practice, and we would start facing different sections of the room every time, so we wouldn't get used to doing it in front of this.
Excellent.
Because when we do it for real in a different building, in a different place, that wall's not going to be there. That mirror is not going to be there. And so I like the idea of what you're saying, not practicing in front of the thing that will not be there, being able to just get, like you said, into your zone, into your flow, and you don't see anything else.
I do the same thing. If there's a bedroom, I'll actually start at one side of the bed, then move halfway down on the corner, then the other corner, I move the other side of the bed, and I might kind of go and just kind of moving around the room and planting, whether I'm preparing my speaking or preparing my violin.
Not letting the atmosphere be a part of your
so that's
rhythm.
interesting that you had that training through martial arts.
Yeah.
You do want to change it up. Another thing about speaking is that a lot of times people prepare in a small room and then all of a sudden they're in a big room. That's, I think that where we are, if I may say, we're in a ballroom right now.
Yeah.
People need to go into any hotel ballroom, break in there, and practice in there. It's a different energy. You're pushing more air.
Yeah.
Another mistake that a lot of speakers do, and it's very natural, is to speak who you can see. So a lot of if the crowd is bigger than 1,000, you can really only see the first few rows, and you can see the responses, so you kind of want to play to them. That's wrong. You want to play to what you can't see, and personally, I play to go and blast through the back wall. So that's what I'm shooting for. I'm actually, with my imagination, from my chest area, blasting energy to blow out the back wall. So I'm not even going for the back row, I'm going past the back row.
Wow.
I got that from Garth Brooks.
Really?
I was watching an interview about Garth Brooks, and Garth Brooks says that that's what he does when he's performing.
You're putting yourself into a state that changes your entire behavior. Everything, whether it's starting with energy versus starting low. That's so your whole behavior, your mannerisms, the way you present yourself, everything is different. Blasting out, I guarantee you take the Roddy that does it and the Roddy that doesn't, it looks different to everyone else as well. So, everything, little subtleties like that really make a difference.
Here's another technique real quick. Are you going to remember what you're about to say there? I'm interrupting you.
No, just do your thing. Go.
Okay, I was going to say that something that's a brainy, clever idea that's not really a good idea, but we all have this idea, is to, when you're speaking, I'm going to run through the stage. I'm going to run through the audience. I don't know where everyone gets that idea from. I've had the idea too, and it's a bad idea. Now, Tony Robbins is able to get away with that because he's 8 feet tall, right? He's just a giant, right?
Yeah.
And he's also got this, he is like a massive celebrity.
He's almost built to do that.
He can kind of bend some of these techniques, but folks like me, I'm going to stick to the techniques. If there's a stage, you want to stay on the stage so that you can be seen. And if you're on stage and there's a light on you, you go 11 out of 10. You express fully. When you run off the stage to do something kind of cutesy, whatever you're running through the audience, again, you lose it all. 90% can't see you unless you've got mass.
You look smaller.
You look smaller.
Tony Robbins can lose 2 feet and still be 6 feet.
Yeah. I think some people might watch Tony Robbins do that, and I'm going to do that. Tony did it. I'm like, you're not Tony. Yeah. I'm not Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shaq does stuff that Steph Curry shouldn't do either.
Yeah. Exactly. And all these things are connected. Music performance, athletic performance, orating. They are all connected for sure.
Right. So this book, Ovation. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about, can people pick up not just what we talk about, but even some more stuff to help them?
For sure, yeah. And It's on Amazon, so.
That's exciting,
Yeah.
man. Well, hey, listen, I'm this is obviously is a pre-recorded, so tomorrow I get to see you on stage. I can't tell you how excited I am, man. This is super, super cool to be able to witness this, and I'm impressed with what you've done. You are truly a GOAT of getting standing ovations, and I'm excited to witness it firsthand tomorrow. Where can people find you? Where can they learn more about you?
Well, if anyone wants to book me to speak at their organization, events@roddychong.com.
Got it.
That email, events@roddychong.com. And then everything else is at roddychong.com, RODDYCHONG.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So all of you listening, you got it. For all of you watching, we put it all on the screen for you, so you got it. Guys, we just spent some time with a GOAT. For all of you listening, for all of you watching, we will see you next week. Thanks for joining us today. If you like this episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel or find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever your favorite place to listen to podcasts might be. And if you really like this episode, please leave a review for us on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.